Luis Fernando Ramirez. Welcome to Sports Management Podcast.
Thank you, Marcus, for having me. I'm super excited to chat and talk sports. Always fun.
Definitely. So you are the CEO of National Padel League. Can you tell us a little bit about this venture?
That is correct. Well, the National Padel League was originally founded in 2021 on the beginnings of the growing of paddle in the United States, and I take you back to the history on where it was there. Paddle in the United States grew from Miami as a base. We had probably 10 clubs over the entire nation. Half were here in Miami by when the NPL started or was created, and it has been evolving more in the niche of Miami. And 4 months ago, they reached out to me in order to try and do a relaunch of the brand of the NPL and try to reach out on the entire nation, so on a nationwide basis. Just to give you a quick jump from that moment that I told you there were probably 10 clubs around the entire nation in 2020, 2019. Today we have more than 170 distributed in different regions and different cities throughout the United States, and the NPL was formed to try and connect that community. So our mission is to build the largest team setup amateur league in the United States, and for that we developed a partnership which we call an endorsement, but it's truly a partnership with the United States Padel Association, the governing body of paddle in the United States. So we have the backing of them, and we are trying to help them, add more members towards the organization, and being that phase of team setup paddle for the amateur people.
Very interesting. So you mentioned it's an amateur league. So what does that mean exactly?
Well, so obviously paddle is divided between levels, right? So you have people from all ages that are participating, and the United States has a well-established tour for the competitive players. So for the people that are chasing money, points, and trying for that dream to become professional. And there was an absence for the amateur that's just starting or just wants to compete, on a more friendly level, but also competing and towards a goal. So that's the mission. Well, or our goal is to attract as many amateurs as possible, and we are divided in 7 categories within the different levels that we offer. So we have 4 categories for men that go from the beginner level to the advanced level, as we call it, which is basically the last step before being a professional. And then in the women's is similar, but we only have 3 levels, so beginners, intermediates, and advanced.
Mm.
That's basically why I call it the amateur paddle league, and it's a way for all type of people to have fun and feel an experience of a competition with your friends against other people, and have the option to win your city, then advance to regionals, and then advance to nationals.
Interesting. So is the idea to have like a kind of a grassroots and to have amateur players play, or is it also to feed players that will go to be professional later on?
It has both components. So it has the opportunity for competitive players that are young to participate, because anyone from 15 years old or older can participate in the league. And it has the component for the older people, or the people that just play on a three times a week level, to have some sort of a year-round competition that you're going to be set up playing against people from your level. So the way paddle right now is being played, mostly when you are an amateur that don't go into the USPA tour or actually travel to play tournaments, is that you go and play with your friends and against your friends, right? You book a court and you make it happen. Now this is an opportunity to basically the same, but instead of going and playing with your friends, you are together against other teams from the city, and it has that component of competition, but still on a friendly basis.
Mm. So you also recently launched a USA National Team League. So what is
Correct.
that in comparison to NPL?
So I'll explain you. And the NPL, when I came in, was set up as one league, the National Padel League, and we restructured the company in 3 business units. So now we have the USA Team League, which is the one that I have been mentioning. That's going in 42 cities at the same time, divided into 6 regions. So that one is the one that has the endorsement of the USPA, and we're in partnership with them making it happen. Then we have another business unit called the Corporate Padel League that we are launching now in Miami. This will happen at Ultra Paddle Club starting in a month. It's a tournament or a league, a 1 month long league for corporations. So basically, we invite corporations to, within their employees or partners or investors or friends, put a team together and participate representing their company. And then we have a third layer, which is called Paddle Concierge. Paddle Concierge is tailor-made paddle events from a birthday party to a big corporate event. We tailor-make it, and depending on the budget and on the needs, we make it happen for corporations. So we have the 3 business units running. Obviously, our biggest product right now is the USA Team League, and the one that we're focusing our minds the most. We are a lean team. NPL, since I started, we were 3 people at the beginning. Now we are 15 in total. So in 4 months, we have had some growth, but it takes a lot of hard work and a lot of people to make what we're trying to do happen.
I understand that. So how is how does NPL position itself, regards to the other league? There is the World Padel Tour. There's also some more professional tours in the US. So where do you see NPL in this, what do you say, infrastructure?
Yeah, no. So we don't compete with the professional tours. The main difference basically is that they have prize money within what they offer in the rewards, basically. So we are focusing more, and in the United States there is a big league in tennis in the USTA that does something similar to what we're launching. So that's the vision that we're trying to achieve. So a big community of paddle enthusiasts from all levels that are connected within the United States. Then on a longer mission would be to try and connect Latin America as well. Being Miami, the capital of Latin America, it just makes sense. And we have had already some connections with other countries, but since we are in a young stage, we are trying to achieve it first here in the States, and then look beyond.
Yeah. So obviously you mentioned that might be some expansion there, and it's called National Padel League, and US is a big country, right? 330 million, 50 states. You mentioned there is 110 paddle clubs, something today?
No, over 160 probably. We
60.
already touched the 600 courts built in the United States. Infrastructure, Marcus, as we're talking, it's being built. The pipeline probably has the double of the ones that are already in place. Some in the beginning stage, some are in construction permit stage, some are already about to open. But that's a good part of the industry here. It feels like the momentum is extremely hot. So that's why I thought it made sense now to give it a try for the league. And since we opened registrations a month and a half ago, and we were expecting to have anywhere from 500 to 600 players sign up. Tomorrow is the last day to sign up, and we already have 1,500 players nationwide that signed up, over 100 teams. So, the demand and the appetite for something like this was there. And also tells you that the people are, attracted to paddle everywhere, because if you see the distribution, you can see it that it didn't just happen in Miami, it's happening everywhere. And it talks great about the way the sport is heading and the industry is heading in the States.
Yeah. So I think you said 600 courts. I mean, I think Sweden has that number built, and we are 10 million people. So with that said, huge potential in the US, right, to grow more. So where do you see, I know that you said that Miami is like the hub for paddle right now. I know that in New York they have some nice courts built as well. But where in the US do you see the potential for growing?
Well, and I am boots in the ground, as I tell you, because part of my being in a young industry requires, wearing many hats. So I'm the CEO of NPL, but I also run the commercial side of Bull Padel, which probably you know the brand, in the East Coast of the United States. So the East Coast of the United States where it first happened, the growth exponentially. But now you're seeing in the Southwest and in the West a lot of growth. So if we talk California, many cities in California are popping up clubs right now. Arizona just catching up. It has 3 clubs, and it's a great hub for paddle. So I see some growth in the West Coast happening next year fast, but I also see many country clubs, which have been historically the place for racket sports in the United States, adding courts. And I think that's the next big step that is already happening. So you'll see that next year, the West Coast is going to catch up in terms of building clubs from scratch, but also country clubs from all around the country will start adding 1, 2, 3 courts to their program. And that's going to help us, get some grassroots, especially juniors. That's something that's lacking right now. I think worldwide, obviously, it's kind of similar, but that's the next step. And then the obvious and I think normal step would be to get into the real estate. So that's something that people are working on, meaning getting into these condominiums as an amenity or getting into hotels as an amenity also for clients. I think that's the next also step, especially in places where racket sports are already being played, which is many parts in the United States.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, tennis is big, pickleball is big. Do you see that as a threat, as a competition, or do you think that it can help paddle?
I come from my history. I come from tennis, so that's how I got in the United States in a tennis scholarship. I played Division One, so I Division One tennis and then professional tennis, which was what led me to be a citizen. At the end of the day, I got a green card for special talent. So I tell you this because I understand the process that tennis and the reach that they have. But also, I have been in the process of how tennis has evolved here in the States, and many companies now call it everything racket sports industry, and I think that's a trend, right? I think we're all on the same wagon. We're helping each other. We have definitely supported, sport participation within the sports, because now you made it easier for some people to participate. If you want to just play pickle, halfway would be the paddle, and then the extreme is tennis. But now you have, many options that look cool that many people are doing, and I think it's just going to continue to help each other.
That's good. I hope that as well. So talking about scaling the league, I know that like venues is a big part. Like I know when we were talking about
Correct.
paddling
Yeah.
in New York, that it's very expensive with real estate, and it's some places hard to find the space. So, what other challenges do you see in scaling?
So that's a great point, right? Because the way I like to call the league or the vision is we're trying to democratize the way paddle is played. So you as a player, you don't come or you don't participate in the league because a club puts you in. You as a captain can register a team and choose where you're going to play, right? So if you're in New York, you can definitely choose the cheapest club to play at, and that will be your host team, your host club. But if you want to pay the best club available, you can choose also that one. So I think as infrastructure growth, more spaces that are affordable will start to pop up. And with that said, I think how we scale, we have a mission, or our goal is to double the amount of cities we already launched in this season. So by 2026, the idea is to be touching at least 70 to 80 cities in the United States within the league, and that trend most likely will continue. Not just in host clubs that are the main partner, I like to call them, because basically I'm relying on them a lot on using their communities and using their sites as basically sites for the NPL. But it will continue to grow. So we will grow in terms of clubs that we're participating in, participants that will be part of the league, and obviously the cities. It's a natural growth of the
Yeah,
league.
yeah, definitely. Another way to grow awareness in the league is through like broadcasting, streaming, and content. So, how do you see your strategy with regards to these aspects?
So right now, I am trying to, for this first season, which is obviously the roughest one and the toughest one to accomplish. We are trying to have in every regional streaming live of at least 2 or 3 courts, right? We're also going to generate a lot of content on site, and we'll have activations with different sponsors that we have. And that's for this season. I envision that nationals will be broadcasted live, also either through YouTube or one of the different medias that are available, but most likely YouTube. And it will be a way to start. I definitely think that content and creating live streams and having the people everywhere available to see what you're producing, it's the key component to getting sponsors and to making it more profitable. So we are going to focus on that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I mean, looking forward, where do you see this in 3, 5 years in terms of like the structure of the league, how far it has grown, and what's your vision for the coming years?
I like to say that it's hard to predict on something that has no track record. So we're creating something, right? It's basically you're creating history, obviously being humble as you can, but you're creating history. So my vision to this is that each and every region has its own structure. So actually the league is national and everyone in each region has a person to touch, a side to play, more accustomed to what, a more constant league would look like it happens in tennis. So tennis has its setup that it's set up in different regions throughout the nation, and they control what happens locally, and then we control what happens on the national level. Sorry, that's where I envision. I want to grow paddle in the United States. I want juniors to participate in the league, so that's another step that I want to take in adding the junior setup to the offering that we have. And that's what we're working on. We're working on in 5 years being, the face of team play in the United States, and by that being a hand to the USPA and adding a lot of members to their ecosystem that it's much needed.
Hmm. So you mentioned in the beginning when we were speaking here that you came in here a couple of years ago and with the intent to grow the awareness and to grow NPL. So why are you the right person for this job? Why did they reach out to you? What's your background?
No, yeah, and I'll clarify. I came to NPL as the CEO 4 months ago. The company was running before by other group, but I started. I did a master's in sport administration in the University of Miami as soon as I quit or finished my tennis career, and from there I started working in wealth management for 4 years here in Miami. Was running a tennis academy that was pretty successful and on the side, and I met Paddle 4 years ago. And as soon as I met Paddle, basically my life started transforming. I didn't want it to be like that, but it happened naturally. And I started first by playing, competing in the USPA, got pretty high in the rankings. It wasn't as hard at the moment because there were not many competitive players here. So I saw an opportunity and I started volunteering my time and work towards the USPA. I got on different committees and helped them by building a right structure for tournaments in the individual sides. Then after a year, I had the opportunity to jump on the national team committee, and they appointed me as the head coach of the men's national team, which I did for 3 years. And that's where life actually changed because I got to live the entire process of being in Pan American Games, in qualifiers for the World Championship last year in Doha. We went to the World Championships with the men's team. We finished in the 13th place for the USA, beating teams like Mexico and Paraguay. That's after analyzing everything and seeing what was happening there and the amount of people that came to me during the World Championships to ask how to invest in the United States, the opportunities, etc. That's when I took the step and said, I'm going to stop doing what I'm doing and I'm going to focus full time in paddle. And here I am today. 24/7 working on paddle, and I see a big opportunity and a big positive trend because every day you see more investment coming in from overseas, different groups popping up, and now you have investment funds focusing on paddle just in the United States. So that's where we are right now.
Yeah. I mean, I know that the NPL is an amateur league, right? But obviously, in order to grow an amateur league, you need to have professional players that they can look up to. So
Mm-hmm.
I know that like in Sweden, it was a big thing when we broke into the top 100, the player on the males top 100 list.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a lot of Spanish people. It's a lot from Argentina, really strong countries when it comes to paddle. So, when do you think that US can compete with the best in the world in paddle? You said you finished like 13th this year.
Yeah. Look, and I can tell you from personal experience because I've been a part of the growth of how to my first tournament as a head coach, and I jump back to that of the national team, we were all amateurs. Then there are two Argentinian Americans that are playing in the professional tour and already won a round this year in a premier paddle that are basically the hope of paddle in the United States. They are 19 and 20 years old and have tremendous talent and opportunity. And the first 3 years, no one basically knew them, and we started introducing them to the people, trying to bring them here, sponsors. Now they are living in the United States. So I think that's going to propel paddle in a different way because kids are going to be able to see them and, use them as example and see how they train and how good they prepare. Then we have different players that came from tennis and transformed into paddle that are trying to be professionals. Great examples of that, of people that learn paddle in the United States, are from the United States and are now playing in the pro tour as well. Obviously not at the top level because we are miles away from what Argentina and Spain had been doing for 30, 40 years, before us. But I think it's in about 10 years, 15 years, you'll see more American flags in the rankings because the sport is it's going that way. Now there are companies, and I'll mention a few, Reserve, Paddle House, Ultra, that are bringing in great coaching from overseas, people that were top 10 in the world, top 10. Now you have Coelho training in Miami. So now the examples are out there, right? So I think it's a matter of time that you start seeing kids in the top of the ranking worldwide. It takes time, but we'll be there.
Interesting. And I know Santiago is doing great things in Paddle House in New York as well.
100% love Santi, and I think we're like a family, even though we're not, like close friends, everyone, we are obviously in communication a lot, but I think we're pushing towards the same, boat at the end of the day, and we try to support each other. Paddle House has been a great support for my league, for example, as well as Reserve and many other clubs, because they understand that we need, these types of things to make the ecosystem stronger and the industry stronger.
Yeah, definitely. Then what you said, like you're not competitors. You're helping this. Everyone wants to grow the sport to grow, right? Yeah. So you're working towards the same goal there.
That is correct. Yeah. Until we reach like in the food industry, restaurant industry, where there is 1 million restaurants, we're not competitors for real. Even though some people might think so, I think, in my opinion, we're not yet competitors. We're just pushing towards the same.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, as we said, like interesting time. You mentioned that you are your background, that you come from tennis and moved, but before you moved to the US, going back, like how did you get interested in sports and tennis in the first place, and your journey from an early stage?
Love the question. I'm from Venezuela originally, and my family. And in Venezuela, being a professional athlete or a competitive athlete is weird. It's not something that everyone does. There is probably baseball is the main sport that we have, and we produce millions of stars in baseball that are playing in the MLB. But from that, probably basketball has some, soccer or football has been having some. But in my family, we were three professional athletes. We had two soccer players and me in tennis. So it was a weird family that supported sports. And since I was a kid, I was, trained like that. I come from obviously a sport that allows you since you're young to travel the world because you have to in order to compete, like tennis. So that allowed me to be pretty open-minded, multicultural, met a lot of people, trained everywhere in the world, literally. So I think I came to the United States already shaped in a way and understood, how to interact with different people. So coming here from Venezuela was thanks to my family was an easy transformation, an easy transfer to what the new stage of life was, and I loved it. Then the 4 years of college here, I went to New Mexico State University, and it was a great tennis experience, great school experience, and I had 4 Venezuelan friends in the team, so it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I didn't know that baseball was so big in Venezuela.
It is, man. Right now, I was reading a crazy stat that I think we have like 20% or 18% of the players that play in the MLB today. So before, obviously, Venezuela, it's going for a couple of years now through a little bit of a hiccup or a crisis. But before that, we had camps of each of the MLB teams in Venezuela. So they would train them from since they were 9 to 10 years old and all the way to the big bigs.
Oh, yeah. I
Yeah.
didn't know that. That's interesting. So, what is the big sports like soccer, baseball?
Yeah, right now it's baseball number one, and you have a lot of history in Venezuela in boxing. There has been great boxers. We have some history in basketball, some history in football, in soccer, but we are pretty young there. We're a Caribbean slash South American country, so the Caribbean it's well beneath our blood over there because of the climate and the weather. So that's why baseball is a big part of it. Baseball being a Caribbean sport. And I think that's basically our number one. We have Hall of Famers. That's our number one sport by far.
Where does paddle fall in on the rankings?
Paddle has, and why did I get into paddle is because in Venezuela, my friends started playing paddle. Paddle has growth extremely fast in Venezuela. It's probably one of the countries that has, like Sweden, exploded in terms of courts built. They already did a premier paddle tour event. They have their own money tour over there. One of the juniors won the Pan American games last year in Mexico, beating the Argentinian team. So they are doing pretty good, and I love it. What they have been doing in Venezuela with paddle, it's again weird because it doesn't happen often, but people picked up with paddle extremely, and it's super popular right now.
Interesting.
Mm.
You mentioned before that you also work for Bull Padel. So how do you juggle these two different responsibilities?
Well, it's not easy, but it's part of what being in a young industry, requires, right? So, Bull Paddle and NPL basically touch on the same people because the way we're uh, set up with Bull Paddles is that we are distributors, and I help them, in the commercial side by opening up accounts. Most of these accounts at the end are clubs or it's surrounding, so it's the same people that we're touching, and that's when going back to the comment that we work all together, it's basically what happens. I am super proud to represent Bull Paddle. Bull Paddle is an amazing brand run by its family still, and you can feel it. They support you a lot throughout the way, and we have a great team here in the United States. The opportunity to grow there, it's tremendous as well. And I right now went outside of an office. Now I'm in the field again, but I love it. I love being in the courts. I love being next to a racket, to the balls, and being able to be out there.
Yeah, I understand that. Your passion for the paddle is pretty clear. It's coming through here.
Thank you.
Um, has there been any bumps on the road in your career? And if so, how did you overcome them?
A million. When you're an athlete, it's probably 80% suffering and being sad and 20% being happy, but that 20%, overcomes anything in the world. Decisions in sports, you never choose, or it's rare when you choose, when do you play, how do you play, or how do you compete. Depends of a million different things that are happening or surrounding you. So it makes you be really strong since you're young. You have to overcome a lot of different difficulties, and coming from a country like Venezuela, where when you're competing against people that come from different cultures and different opportunities, you're always overcoming obstacles. But I think that's what, built me and built my character today, and has allowed me to overcome many different things. Also, when you're an athlete, you never want to lose, so every defeat, hurts in your heart. But I would describe myself as a people's person. I like everyone to be happy around me, and try to help the people that are around me, and that's my mission in life.
Hmm. So, what do you feel like, coming to the US with a different background, anything that has been difficult, anything that has helped you from your like upbringing?
Well, I think the most difficult part is you missing your family, right? You left away something that's within your heart. Every day you think of them. My father, my mom, my family overall. They live in Venezuela mostly. So not being able to be, every moment with them, birthdays and special moments is extremely tough. And it still is after 15 years that I left, every day is still tough. So that's the number one. But then adapting to the United States for me was extremely easy. I probably the speaking the language was the hardest part at the beginning, but I took it off pretty fast. And then after that, I adapted extremely well to the culture. I love the American people. Now I'm proudly a citizen of the United States. I represent the United States overseas, and I love it here. I think the opportunities to grow if you work hard and are committed and humble, they're unlimited. So you can create your way and you can shape it as you can and as you want because there is that opportunity. So I'm blessed to be here. But obviously, it's you never leave your roots, right? Your roots are what built you, and hopefully one day I can go back with everyone over there.
Yeah. Is that you mentioned the language was hard. Did you speak like any English, or did you learn like you just learned more when
I
you got
thought,
over?
I thought, I thought I speak English until I got into my first economic class, and then I said, "Oh, I think I need to review the books." But yeah, it takes time. It takes a lot of talking to people and losing the fear of talking to people and making mistakes. It takes time, but after one semester, you're there. You understand, and you're able to communicate, and then you start, improving throughout the years. It's still a learning process.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It's the same with myself. It's when
Yeah,
you're not a native speaker, you can always be better, right?
yeah, that's 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. As someone now, you're a CEO, you have experience in this field for quite some time. For young people who wants to pursue a career in sports, what would be some advice that you have for them?
It's never easy. I would say one of my professors in the masters in the University of Miami told me once a phrase that I think it never left me. So when you work in sports, you have expectations of big corporations, but with the budget and the amount of people of middle business or small corporations. So uh, you're always going to be wearing a lot of hats. You have to be able to understand that it's a tough industry, but super rewarding in the means that everyone that's participating is trying to have fun or doing it for something that's good for either their health, their wellness, or their life. So you transform lives when you participate in the sports industry. You help people live better lives, and if you enjoy it, obviously it's demanding. It's weird hours. You don't work 9 to 5 usually. You work different hours a day, but if you love it, you're gonna have fun. So I would recommend for people to prepare to study. It's not a place where you can just land a job super easy. You have to have a competitive edge and have to have a background. So you need to prepare yourself to be out there. It's competitive, but you're gonna have fun. So if that's your dream, don't hesitate.
Both you and me has studied, like gone to uni before, but not everyone maybe feels like they want to take that path and they work more. Do you think that that's something that you have to do, or is not really necessary?
I think I'm not the owner of the truth or no or don't know. There is cases both ways. I think there is people that never grab a book and are extremely successful, and there is people that didn't prepare and at the end of the day, didn't become as successful as they could. I think it never hurts to prepare yourself. It never hurts to go out there and study and be better. It's going to help you not just for the sports industry, but for your life. So I would recommend everyone to go out there and do a master's if he can, if it's something that it's within his reach and study, prepare yourself. Right now, we have many tools out there to help ourselves and be better. It requires the sport industry, as any other industry, requires to be continue to be evolving, to continue to be knowing new tools, new tools that are gonna get you to a better place. And right now, by running a company like NPL, it's like that. You need to adapt and learn different things because we have been developing a software, but also reaching out to clubs, but also negotiating contracts. So if you don't know this type of things, you might be amazing at a sport, but if you don't know how to do these things, you won't be successful. So you need to prepare yourself.
Yeah. Now you mentioned that your team at NPL has grown, and so I'm sure you are part of the recruitments for new talent somehow in this company as well. So, what are you looking for in someone who wants to work for NPL?
No, 100, and I'm 100% committed to the recruiting part. I think that has been my first task. So depending, like I told you, we have three business units, so it depends on what I'm looking for. But if we step away from the professional side, which is obviously extremely important, I look for people that I feel right away have a humbleness in there and a will to fight that matches what I describe on what is required to be a sports industry professional, right? So you need to have the hunger, you need to have the open mind and the open ears to be able to enjoy. I want people that are going to be able to enjoy what this requires, and that's the number one uh, thing that I look in people characteristic. Because after that, there is people that have amazing experience, that have amazing connections, but if you're not willing to fight in this industry, it's going to be hard. So yeah, that's the number one.
Yeah, so like passion and grit, if you're taking it
I
down, is
would
that
say
correct?
passion, grit, and people skills, because obviously you are always in contact with people. So either it's a community building or connecting with clubs, and it's so diverse that would be the number three.
Yeah, I like that. Is there something I haven't asked you yet that you want to mention about yourself or NPL or paddle at large?
No, I think it would be nice to I don't know if I can to thank the sponsors of the league.
Sure.
Yeah, so I am I'll say it. I'm thankful with Delta Airlines to supporting the league, because it's a league that it's just relaunching, and having a national brand being behind us, gives us that trust that we need to make it look like it's actually back up and to continue the growth. I think that's important. Uh, NPL, and I'll tell you another thing, but NPL is part of a bigger fund called Racket 360. So it's one of the verticals that they have. This fund invests in the entire ecosystem of paddle. So we build clubs called Racket Social Club. We have a web ecosystem or a web store called Racket Central. The biggest racket industry conference called Racket X, and National Padel League is the last vertical. Each with their head, each with the team, each doing extremely well. So this is why I joined NPL in the first place, because I felt like we were backed up and we were actually a team working towards the same. So I wanted to also say that there.
Yeah, of course. And Racket X has been on the podcast as well, and I know that's an important event in the paddle community.
It is. It is. It helps us connect, and again, people love it. And NPL, the nationals will happen at Racket X next year. So that's how integrated we are, and that's the idea. To have different hats within the ecosystem and try to fit from each other.
Hmm. So who's running the Paddle 360?
There is a group of investors, and the CEO is called Emiliano Abramson, a great guy, also a startup founder, and had some good exits in the technology side and education side. And his Argentinian background, have been living in Miami for a while, and now he's invested into paddle 100%. He has been extremely helpful mentor since we started this relaunch, and he's working hard with us. We have a great group of investors behind us, but he's the more visible one, the one that's out there, at least in my end, helping me with NPL.
That's great to hear. And it's exciting times for paddle in the US and the world as well.
It is. It is. How is Sweden looking?
I would say that we talked about it a lot here on this podcast, but obviously a huge boom during COVID. They were popping up courts basically every single day, it felt like. And
Yeah.
then after 2 years, it dipped kind of hard. And those clubs that they hadn't really invested in the whole had a,
It happened.
yeah, they only like they took an abandoned warehouse, they opened a paddle court, and that was it. They didn't survive afterwards, but the clubs that they really invested in like a nice location, they had like trainers and courses, and like they saw the whole picture. They doing
Mhm.
pretty well. So now I feel like it has bounced back a little bit. I talked to a friend of mine the other day that said that now it's difficult again to get courts because in the beginning you had to wait. They released the times 2 weeks ahead, and you had to be on midnight basically 2 weeks before in order to get the time you wanted. And then
It was like this, yeah.
yeah, and now it starts to get back again to like that the court's being busy. So I feel like it's bouncing back and it's in a good place.
Good to hear. Good to hear. It's we're going through that 2 year period. You know, after 2 years, many people open paddle clubs thinking this is a McDonald's or a Starbucks that you're opening up, and it's extremely opposite to that. It's extremely, community builder. You need human presence there, and it takes time. It's not a 1 year exit. It takes time. So it's a normal process, and people like Santi, for example, do a great job in doing it the right way, and I think that's what we need.
I agreed. Before we sign off here, I like to end on a networking question. So, who from your network do you think would be a good guest on this podcast?
From my network, I think Emiliano would be a great guest. So the CEO of Bracket 360, I think I think he's a great guest. And then uh, a player, one of the national team guys, one of the, that has been trying to either a man or a woman that has been representing the States and doing that. Number three, I can get you on a USPA, one of the board members or one of those that are controlling the governing side of the USA. I can help you with that. Yeah.
That would be fantastic. Three great suggestions there. Appreciate it.
I can be your production too.
Yeah. Good to hear.
Yeah,
Luis,
kidding.
it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much to taking the time to join Sports Management Podcast.
Appreciate you, Marcus, for the time and love to be here.